I return now to the issue of Cuba. That Cuba can help so many in this world and yet be the continued victim of a blockade of over 60 years, but worse than that, a designation as a state sponsor of terrorism is wrong, wrong, wrong.
Being called human traffickers because we hire technical people who we pay top dollar equal to local rates, but we are now being accused of taking part in the program where people are being exploited. That's somebody's interpretation. And of course, there are local people here encouraging them to take away our U.S. visas.
Notion, as was peddled not just by this government in the U.S., but the previous government, that we were involved in human trafficking by engaging with the Cuban nurses was fully repudiated and rejected by us. Now, I don't believe that we have to shout across the seas, but I am prepared, like others in this region, that if we cannot reach a sensible agreement on this matter, then if the cost of it is the loss of my visa to the US, then so be it.
Hello, my good people, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing good from wherever you're watching me from, and it is another time for another video. Now, the bully has done it again. And when I talk about the bully, I'm talking about none other but Donald J. Trump, the bully, aka Mr. Sanction. So this time round, he has come knocking at the doors of the CARICOM. The CARICOM is the Caribbean community with sanctions or threats of sanctions. So what has happened this time round? So the United States has recently threatened to impose visa restrictions on officials from the CARICOM, the Caribbean community nations involved in Cuba's overseas medical missions. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that these programs exploit medical professionals through forced labor and human trafficking, apparently. So let's listen in to what the leaders of the CARICOM had to say concerning this, and at the end of this, we will continue with my commentary. Thank you very much for watching.
We rely a lot for our healthcare delivery on certain specialists who over the decades we have obtained from India, from the Philippines, sometimes from Africa, and mainly from Cuba. Out of the blue now we are being called human traffickers because we hire technical people who we pay top dollar equal to local rates, but we are now being accused of taking part in the program where people are being exploited. That's somebody's interpretation. And of course, there are local people here encouraging them to take away our US visas. Today, I just came back from California. And if I never there again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all.
This matter with the Cubans and the nurses should tell us everything that we need to know. Barbados does not currently have Cuban medical staff or Cuban nurses, but I will be the first to go to the line and to tell you that we could not get through the pandemic without the Cuban nurses and the Cuban doctors. I will also be the first to tell you that we paid them the same thing that we pay Bajans, and that the notion, as was peddled not just by this government in the US, but the previous government, that we were involved in human trafficking by engaging with the Cuban nurses was fully repudiated and rejected by us. Now, I don't believe that we have to shout across the seas, but I am prepared, like others in this region, that if we cannot reach a sensible agreement on this matter, then if the cost of it is the loss of my visa to the US, then so be it. But what matters to us is principles. And I have said over and over that principles only mean something when it is inconvenient to stand by it. Now, we don't have to shout, but we can be resolute. And I therefore look forward to standing with my CARICOM brothers. I wish I could say brothers and sisters, but brothers, to be able to ensure that we explain that what the Cubans have been able to do for us, far from approximating itself to human trafficking, has been to save lives and limbs and sight for many a Caribbean person.
Back against the U.S. government's clampdown on the Cuban medical mission has begun. Regional heavyweight Ralph Gonsalves says he's ready to lose his visa, as he will not end the medical program in his country and allow his people to die. Mr. Gonsalves addressed the matter head-on Sunday during a PNP political rally in Portland. Details in this report from Dwayne Anderson.
I was born a rebel. I was born with a rebel seed. I was a young rebel. I am today an old rebel.
That rebellious spirit is what prevents him from staying silent amid the latest geopolitical pressure being put on Cuba and its allies by the USA government. Last week, the US described the Cuban medical missions program as forced labor and outlined plans to impose visa restrictions on individuals and family members of those individuals believed to be responsible for the medical program.
I know we're not involved in any exploitation of Cuban workers. And I know that the Cubans are not involved either, the Cuban government. I know the arrangements.
Mr. Gonsalves said he is prepared to lose his diplomatic privileges over this latest USA-Cuba issue.
Does anybody expect that to go because I want to keep a visa, that I would let 60 persons from the poor and working people to die? It will never happen.
Locally, the Jamaican government says it is seeking more details from the USA on the new policy, as the matter is very concerning. Presently, Jamaica has over 400 participants from the Cuban medical program working at different levels in the health sector, including doctors, nurses, and biomedical engineers.
In terms of Cuban doctors in Jamaica, let us be clear. The Cuban doctors in Jamaica have been incredibly helpful to us. Jamaica has a deficit in health personnel, primarily because many of our health personnel have migrated to other countries. We are, however, very careful not to exploit the Cuban doctors who are here. We ensure that they are treated within our labor laws and benefit like any other worker. So any characterization of the program by others certainly would not be applicable to Jamaica. We are ensuring that our program complies with all the international laws and standards to which we are a party to.
So, leaders of the Caribbean community have come out blazing, guns blazing at that directive or that threat and confronting the bully, because lives matter more than the interest of the bully. And you have heard from them that actually leaders have strongly refuted this allegation, emphasizing the critical role of Cuban doctors in the Caribbean community. Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves of St. Vincent and Grenadines stated he would, and I quote, "prefer to lose my U.S. visa than to have 60 poor and working people die," end of quote, highlighting the indispensable services provided by Cuban doctors. Similarly, Prime Minister Keith Rowley of Trinidad and Tobago underscored his nation's sovereignty, expressing willingness to forego U.S. travel rather than compromise health partnerships in his in the island. And Jamaica's Foreign Minister Kamini Johnson Smith noted that over 400, or at least 400 Cuban medical professionals are integral to Jamaica's health system. CARICOM foreign ministers have engaged the U.S. officials to address these concerns, emphasizing the importance of maintaining these medical collaborations in the Caribbean or in the CARICOM or in the islands. What are some of the reactions of the people in the islands?
I have another little news here that I wanted to bring out, but this is for the Caribbean community, more specifically my little island of Jamaica, but it's for all Caribbean, islands or places. So it seems like Donald Trump recently announced a visa sanction against any government that's utilizing Cuba's overseas medical mission. So just for those of you guys that live here in America, so Cuba is really one of the main nation out there that help the Caribbean, whether it's Jamaica. I want to say, I don't want to misspeak, so I'm just going to speak for Jamaica now because that's what I know about. For years, Cuba would go to Jamaica with a medical team and either try to educate or, try to help with any kind of, medical technology, or even some of the doctors are there actually, working with sick citizens. So Cuba is really the nation that helps the Caribbean on any medical field, period. All right. So now Donald Trump is putting out there to all nation that works with Cuba that he's going to put sanction on the government visa. So basically he will put restrictions on the visa, whether the government, I'm going to speak for Jamaica again. So Andrew Holness, him and his administration, maybe they won't be able to come to America, put sanction on the visa like that, or not issue any new visa. I don't think it's to the citizen of Jamaica, but I'm not sure. But I know for sure it's for the government of Jamaica or other islands. I don't want to just say Jamaica. I'm just speaking to Jamaica specifically because that's what I know about, because that's where I'm from. So I know the history of, the Cubans coming and helping in the medical field. So I just want to educate you guys on what's happening there, and do your own research so you guys know what Andrew Holness is doing here, because I'm not sure where the help else is going to be coming from if they ban Cuba for helping medically in Jamaica. This will be devastating for the island. Devastating. And this is very selfish of Donald. Clearly, Donald Trump does not care about black or brown people. I never thought I'd say that, but I'm going to say it right now. And words of Kanye West, even though I cannot stand that man, but right now, Donald Trump does not care about brown or black people. The idea that you're going to put sanction on visas for these nation that's getting help medically from the only place that will help them, Donald Trump, as Jamaican would say, SYM. My Jamaicans know what I'm talking about that. I'm not going to say it here to disrespect, but SYM all day, every day, to you, Donald Trump and your administration. Anyway, my little islands, I'm just educating you guys. Please be aware and also do your own research to see what your local government is doing about this, because this is you guys' health. I don't live in Jamaica. I haven't been there for years. Yes, that's where I'm from, but I haven't been there in years. So you guys take what you want to take away from this and do your research to see what your local government is doing, because it's your health. Have a blessed day.
Jamaicans. So I want to ask this question. Donald Trump decided that he's going to sanction U.S. visa to every single Caribbean country who helps Cuba listen me now. Donald Trump decided that he's going to sanction U.S. visa to any country who give an hand to the Cubans. So my question is, what is your Prime Minister Andrew Holness gonna do? What will your Prime Minister Andrew Holness gonna do? Is your Prime Minister just going to abandon the Cubans just like that? Is your Prime Minister going to abandon the Cubans just like that? After they help us so many years? Huh? We and the Cubans have such good love. The Cubans come like our family. What is your Prime Minister Andrew Holness going to do? We already know that he's weak, you know. Yes. We already know that Andrew Holness is weak. But what is he going to do right now, knowing that Donald Trump put a sanction on anyone who decided to help the Cubans? Huh? He put a sanction on the U.S. visa. So you know, say if Andrew Holness continue to help the Cubans, when they can't come to America. So, on the Prime Minister, I got just abandon the Cubans just like that. Remember, you know, the Cubans are some of the best doctors around the world, you know. Remember, the Cubans are some of the best doctors around the world. What is your weak Prime Minister going to do? Huh? Is he going to stand up? Or is he going to fall? Is your Prime Minister going to stand up? Or is he going to fall? Because we already know that Andrew Holness is weak. Yes. We already know that Andrew Holness is weak. I was so embarrassed when I came to Jamaica and I saw a LGBTQ, I don't even know how to call him, a LGB flag in a Jamaica, a fly around in a Jamaica, Batman flag, Batty boy flag a fly around in a Jamaica, you know. Andrew Holness. Andrew Holness, this, you know. Theme. JLP. Allow Batty boy if you take over the country, you know. But now that Donald Trump asks all of the Caribbean them who they support to stop helping the Cubans, or they are going to sanction U.S. visa to the country who helps the Cubans, what is Donald Trump going to do right now? Ask yourself that question. Because the Cubans have done so much good for Jamaicans. So is Jamaica going to betray the Cubans? Because I would see that as a betrayal. Yes. I would see that as a betrayal. Yes. If I was a Cuban, I would see that as a betrayal. So, is your Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, going to betray the Cubans and get rid of them from the island? Ask yourself that question.
I just get to understand, the American government is threatening to sanction countries who use Cuban doctors and nurses. And I was very shocked to learn that Jamaica used Cuban doctors and nurses. For real. I mean, sorry, I am very shocked. I mean, over 400 Cuban doctors and nurses, biomedical engineers and technicians from Cuba in Jamaica? I am very shocked because I did not know that the Jamaica Labour Party deal with Cubans, much less Cuba. I did not know. Forgive me, Jamaica, I just did not know. Like I said, I did not know that the Jamaica Labour Party deal with Cuba. See me? Because about 50 years ago, Jamaica was sanctioned for the same shit. See? 50 years ago, Michael Manley was the Prime Minister of Jamaica, and he was friends with Cuba, Fidel Castro. See? Cuba built schools in Jamaica. See me? Let me see. I can name two of the school them. G.C. Foster and Jose Marti. See? Cubans built that. See? Michael Manley was also using Cuban doctors and nurses. See? The opposition leader at the time, Edward Seaga, was always saying Michael Manley wants to turn Jamaica into a communist country because he's friends with Cuba. You see me I say? No, America did not like that too. America did not like to see Michael Manley being friends with Cuba. You see? Now, Michael Manley, on hearing that America was upset at him being friends with Cuba, said these words: I will not allow America to dictate to me about which friends I should keep. And as long as this party is in power and I am the leader, we will tread this earth on our feet and not on our knees. Meaning, we're not about to no guy. Bro God, said that if you're bad. Said that if you're bad. Saying anyway, Michael Manley paid a heavy price after that. For real. The Secret Service were sent to Jamaica on a wide scale to every parish in Jamaica to create what? Havoc. You see me? There were riots in the street. People got hungry because what? Food was locked off from Jamaica. So when we heard Papa Eddie say he was going to lock down Jamaica tighter than a sardine tin that not even breeze can pass through, you know say he was working with America. You see me I say? For real. There were even a few attempts on Manley's life. Yeah. So with me knowing the history, and I was there, you see why I am surprised. Seeing? But now things have come full circle again. You see me I say? And me notice a bro God, quiet your fuck. Seeing? The Prime Minister of Trinidad attack defending our people. And other Prime Ministers from other countries are defend for them people. But bro God not defend Jamaicans. I want to go on. Come on, bro God, you have to talk up and defend your people. Be like Michael Manley, youth. How we are do? Well, he must PNP, a labor, so you can't be like him. But anyway, defend your people, bro God. See? You're too quiet.
Yeah, morning time TikTok. Big up to my TikTok family, you know. Well, I see what go on, you know, in the Caribbean. See? With Trump as a boy, right now, if the Caribbean leaders them want to keep them visa, them fi don't work with the Cuban doctor them, send them out of them country. See? What me I say? Over the years, more than 40 odd years, Cuba under sanction, seeing from America, from the Cuban Revolution war, way back in Fidel Castro time, them sanction Cuba. Cuba can't do no trade, no business most I world. Seeing? And the people in Cuba are the most resilient people me know. Them people that go through the struggles, educate the whole of them, whole of the population. Everybody in Cuba educated. I don't think they have a literacy rate past 1%. Everybody literate and a professional. They have the best doctor. And years upon years, Cuban doctor help the Caribbean. Not only in Jamaica, but most of Caribbean and Africa. See? When it come to Jamaica, the cataract them in a Jamaican elderly people. Terrible. A Cuban doctor come scrape the people them eye. All my father get benefit from it. Them scrape them eye. Cause the cataract dangerous at Jamaica. See? So how now we fi turn our back through a local visa for the Cuban people. All of the Caribbean, I see me and Motley, you know. Motley there, Barbados, say she joined the front of the line. Fi give up them visa. And we stand up for Cuban brothers and sisters. And we want our Prime Minister, Honorable Brogard, saying, fi stand up for the Cuban people them too, you know. Don't make them frighten you about, don't make Donald Trump frighten you about visa. See? What may I tell you say? All the Caribbean leaders, may I invite you now to come to Canada. Canada nice and beautiful, clean, we are peaceful people, loving people. See? We don't have a big rat over here run up and down, like over Uncle Sam. See? Our country clean and nice, so you can come and visit Canada anytime, any day, any night. See? You can go Europe, you can go all over, you don't have to go over Uncle Sam. So don't make that scare now and say, boy, you don't pick them a visa and way. You don't have to dwell upon that, brother. You don't look out for your Cuban neighbor. Because we can swim from Jamaica to Cuba, just 90 miles. See? And I use Cuba and I stand up for it. So no don't make no frighten. And Mr. Prime Minister of Jamaica, more you come out and talk. Because we don't hear you say nothing tough yet, you know. I want you to come out and talk with the people. Make Uncle Sam know say you know, if they want to take the visa, make them take it. You know responsible about that. What you responsible is the Jamaican people that get help from the Cuban because them help the whole of the Caribbean and Africa, brother. See? And then people, if you look on the car over Cuba, them a pure old car over there and all kind of sitting. How the man them pressure the people and people them make use of what them have. For decades upon decades still now. And in a modern time now when people be free up, you know, still want pressure people them, brother. Do you know, we stand up and fight that one here. More the Prime Minister stand up and fight that one here, you know. See? If you want Jamaican people to love you more, stand up for the Cuban people, brother.
I think it is actually the right time to face the bully, to confront the bully and tell off the bully. Because now, just before the bully came knocking to CARICOM, he had disbanded or actually called off the USID. And the USID being a federal institution that has been helping in different sectors, in different countries, in different parts of the world, but all of a sudden, without prior notice, called off, disbanded that. Never mind the fact that the USID in itself had been accused of being a platform for embezzlement and oppression. That's a story for another time. But then we must also accept that the USID was actually functionally helping so many people in so many sectors in different parts of the world, including Africa. Ranging from healthcare to education, and many other sectors that the USAID was playing, including employment. In fact, in my country, for example, Kenya, we had thousands of people employed under the USAID. That means overnight, just because of a careless decision without prior notice. Thousands of people slept and woke up jobless, unemployed. You can imagine the amount of shock that those communities in different parts of the world had to go through or are actually going through. But still, it is notice to you that he's depending on someone else, that at any point without notice, it could be withdrawn. So you need to be ready, and you need to be self-sustaining or independent. And so I think it is a good precedence that is being set by the CARICOM, that we need to stick together and we need to actually have a unity of purpose. Now, we know that the US will always fabricate some allegations, false allegations, some false reasons when they want to advance their imperialist agendas on other countries. They will talk about human trafficking, human rights violations, terrorism, so on and so forth, when they really want to go and meddle into people's affairs. But coming together to say, no, the Cuban doctors are actually helping the people on the ground, the people in Trinidad and Tobago, the people in Jamaica, the people in San Vicente, the people in Guyana, so on and so forth, is a unity of purpose, because what really hurts is the fact that Donald Trump and his regime do not take a minute to think of how many people are genuinely going to be affected by disbanding the USAID. How many families are going to sleep hungry because their breadwinners have suddenly lost their jobs? What can we do before we, how many people in the islands of the Caribbean are going to suffer because there is an acute shortage of medical personnel? How many lives are going to be lost? How many hospitals are going to go to their knees because they can't operate without doctors? I mean, before you call on your false allegations of human trafficking, or if you really can prove that, please, before that, wouldn't it be fair enough and reasonable to think of the impact to the society, to the impact to the common man who really depends on these services? But just careless, reckless decisions are really going to affect us. Never mind that this man has just been in power for 3 months. I really wonder what's going to be of us if after 2 years of such terrible decisions and the speed at which he is moving. In my community, they say, before you swallow a stone, think of the exit. This is simply to tell you that the consequences need to be thought about before you take any decisions. How many people are being treated by the Cuban doctors? We know that as far as in Africa and beyond, in other parts of the world, many countries have been beneficiaries of the services of Cuban doctors or Cuban medical professionals. Now, healthcare and people's lives is not a thing you can, play around with. I think they should have actually put into consideration the people that are getting the medical assistance first before thinking about the monies, the salaries, and how they are going to continue to place embargoes on the country of Cuba. This is what I had for you. Thank you very much for watching this video to this point. Please share your thoughts, your opinion about this in the comments. You can leave me your thought in the comments. Please give this video a thumbs up, share this video, and if you're coming across this channel for the first time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button to be part of the community. Until next time, I will be happy to see you in the next video. Peace out.